And B, what is this? All right, folks. Good late, actually, no, good afternoon. Officially, another Stay Hired Sunday. You know how we do. Apologies for anybody that looked to tune in last week. Had some situations, life got in the way, but for the most part, we stay consistent and we make sure we're here virtually every Sunday. If it is your first time tuning in, let me just introduce myself real quick. My name, Aswan Crookshank, one and only Move Swiftly speaker, former Division I college football player, current five-time published, actually soon to be six-time published author and educator. What the whole Move Swiftly brand is about, what the business is all about, taking the innovative teamwork lessons that you learn on the football field and aligning them with business owners so they have a staff that moves like a championship football team. That's what I do over here in a nutshell. So before I get too into the weeds of what we're going to be talking about today, Kimberly, hope all is. I'm glad to see you smiling. Glad you got the whole new. I mean, just a whole new vibe, new energy. It's almost like it must be the month of May. I don't know. Some going on out in the DMV. How are you doing?
Doing great, doing great. It's good to see you. I am Kimberly Blue, founder and owner of Art and HR Solutions, and I help businesses make it along with employees
Mhm.
with innovative solutions.
With innovative solutions. Now, guys, when we do these things, and I think I say this probably every time, because it's important when we're talking about staying hired. This is not an easy topic to adjust. This is why it had to be something that was going to be as consistent as possible. It had to be something that we were going to have very authentic, real dialogue when it comes to staying hired, because we've been over this over and over. You know, we live in a world that's changing. And if you're not changing with it, if you're not staying ready, if you're not putting yourself in positions in which you can keep yourself employed to keep yourself valuable to a company, you will lose. So I bring that up because the topic we're going to be broaching today, it's going to be about it's networking before it's actually needed. And it's important that I break it down like that because when you think about networking, you think about people who are kind of kissing ass. All right. This is something I've learned
Yeah.
along the way. I've heard the best advice I got about networking is that someone pulled me aside, said, Aswan, remember, it's networking, not schmoozing. It's not kissing ass. It's not, begging someone for a job. It's you actually approaching folks and saying, hey, I want to partner with you. This is my skill set. This is what I'm good at. And this is what you're good at. Let's connect on things. So when you are networking, what I've learned, it's better to do it when you currently have a job. It's better to do it when you currently are in a situation where you're obviously not where you want to be financially, but you're at least in a situation where there's a revenue stream and then you could speak to people in a partnership. In fact, seeing that you're from the DMV, the first networking event I went to, Kimberly, it was way back when I was early 12, must have been like 23 or 24. And it was with the Washington Nationals right there in DC. And the guys, they asked everyone what their greatest accomplishments in sports was. And one of the people was like, "Look, I just sold my company for about 100,000 or something like that." And they're there networking, even though they had the money that they wanted. So it's really about I don't know if that's the money they wanted, but they obviously had a good amount. But it's really about connecting with someone from a partnership standpoint. So again, I usually ask Kimberly for the topics and what she wants to talk about. Again, this her lane. This is her HR lane. I'm more the employee development person. Can you just speak a little bit about what brought this topic upon you? What made you think of it, and then we'll kind of go from there.
I was actually speaking to a friend this week, and like a lot of businesses, they're changing. Whether it's reorganization or revisiting. Do we need this many people in a department?
Hmm.
Just right sizing, right? And she's like, I just don't even know. Maybe I'm going to do something else, and I'm like,
Yeah.
well, instead of thinking that way, you
Hmm.
know, just do what you're passionate about. What do you want to do, right?
Right.
And so, that's kind of sparked and I was thinking, she called me because, I was a mentor. I am a mentor to her.
Hmm.
And I said, it's all about relationship building. And so when you think about networking, like you said, it's not kissing ass. It's
Hmm.
not, oh, checking a box. It's actually
Right.
building relationships and changing your mindset of what can I get from it
Hmm.
to what can I do for you? How can I
Yeah.
help you?
Hmm.
And when you view it from that standpoint,
Hmm.
it changes the whole dynamic. And it's so important because if you make, say, 5 relationships even in an organization in different areas, think about project building, projects or special assignments or during a reorganization, where where will you fit in? And
Hmm.
who's going to say, oh, you know what, I worked with Kimberly and we could do, um, she'd be great in this area,
Right.
and that's really how you have to think about it because you want to, mentorship and networking are,
Hmm.
go hand in hand.
Right. And this is, oh my God, so many things you said that really triggered. I might very possibly could get long-winded long-winded on you with this one. So there's a couple of things that you guys have got to understand. Number one, it's about what's working on the inside of you. And the better question to ask is, how do you want to live your life? Is the day to day that you're going through right now, is it the way you want to live? And when you ask yourself that question, you'll start finding situations of being in a better situation to where you know specifically who to talk to. All right. I
Mhm.
can't overstate that one enough, because when you have no plan and you have no like vision for what you want your life to look like 10, 15 years down the line, this networking thing could just become about the person who has a title, a person who has a certain salary that you may not even know what the salary is. You just know the person's title, that person makes this amount, and I'm just gonna try to pony up, or I'm gonna try to smooth up to this person because I believe in what the world says about them. When what happens in these situations, and many times what I've seen, I've actually lived through myself, is when you actually get to know that person, you realize, hey, they're just like you as employees. They have
Yeah.
bosses just like you. They're in a situation where, hey, they got their job and they have their salary, but they have no ability, no power, no decision making ability. Myself, I literally just talked about this yesterday on yesterday's Move Swiftly Thought. Is I came out of college wanting to work for the National Football League. And then I saw the way they handled the NFL draft situation. I saw the way that they are more so interested in PR, positive PR, and not helping actual good coaches. They're more just afraid of making a big PR splash. And I said, I don't want to do this. This is horrible. The whole thumbnail, Kimberly, was I lost all my respect for the NFL. I did. I mean, obviously, I love football very much, but even when it came to the stuff we talked about with now you got to change the name, now the name goes back, I lost all my respect for the integrity of how they're making it a corporate thing and not something that fans are engaged in. And just this morning, so right now we're in a message series with at my church, Life Church, where we're talking about love stories and good relationships and marriages and all that. And he was speaking on a marriage, one of his favorite marriages in the Bible, and he was kind of giving advice to single people where he said, look, you just need to be focusing on God. Focusing on God. You might look to your left, look to your right, and have peripheral vision. You see somebody cute and you say hi, but you're going to keep focusing on God. Eventually, that person is going to jump in right with you and focus on God, and you guys work together. Networking works the same way, folks. It works the same exact way. You see
Yeah.
the way you want to live, somebody else wants to live that way too. Okay, keep moving. And if they're with you, they're with you. If they're not, they're going to simply drop off the
Yeah.
train tracks. That's what it's all about. So, told you I might get
I,
long-winded there.
and I agree with that because there's times when you think
Right.
somebody might be a good connection,
Uh-huh.
because sometimes I think, what is it that I want to learn?
Hmm.
I look at it from a viewpoint. I want to learn something from this person.
Right.
And they have, whatever interactions you have, and you're like, oh wow, I really want to learn that. And to
Hmm.
me, it's not about title, it's about what I'm lacking that I want to learn. And
Right.
then I also think, what can I teach them?
Right.
you know and so and that's how you build that relationship. And there'll be times when you think somebody will be a great mentor or a great connection, and it
Hmm.
just doesn't work out that way, and that's
Right.
okay. Sometimes that happens, just like
Right.
relationships, right?
Hmm.
But then you just keep trying, because the worst thing you could do is not do anything at all.
Right. And this is also, now we're speaking on it from the side of the employee looking to get more opportunities, but it also is very applicable to the business owner that's trying to hire folks as well. One of
Yes.
the things that's very important that you guys have got to understand is you can't stifle people. You can't make it so that they're working for your company and that's the only thing that
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 they
you
can
think
do.
about. Exactly. That's the
Right.
only thing you think about. That's the only thing that you see them as good for and all that kind of stuff. In fact, it was back. Actually, it was when I was at 9 Round. I was a trainer at 9 Round, and I would be me. I'm always, doing things in sports and trying to create a connection and all that. And I remember I told the owner something that one day, and his question was, "Well, how does it help me?" And it's no
Right.
secret why the business is no longer a business anymore, because you took it to the point where you make it all about yourself, and the people who work with you or trying to work for you, whatever you want to call it, they just eventually become very unmotivated. And the
Yes.
second people are unmotivated, that's when the problems occur. So when you think about breaking this down to a very, I want to say, strong ego, strong willed type of people, what are the what are the steps towards breaking that part of it down? Because it really starts with a mental thing. This is my business. They're gonna run it the way I wanted to run it. They're gonna do it my way, or they can see the door. That's the kind of personality that usually occupy these positions. What are some steps in terms of breaking down that mindset towards saying, hey, you got to bend a little bit, man. You just have to.
I can tell you that that leadership style doesn't work anymore.
Right.
I mean, there's times, there are times I had not my direct
Hmm.
leader, but the one above actually tell me, wait a second, you got to remember who I am.
She said that to you?
But she was correct when she said it,
Uh-huh.
though. She
Okay.
was,
Okay.
because what I said, I didn't think about before I spoke.
Uh-huh.
So I'm a human too. I make mistakes. I
Right.
might have
Right.
great answers, but I am a human.
Right.
And when she said that, I went, oh, Kimberly, yeah, ooh,
Right.
you need to step back. Okay.
Right. Right. Right.
So
Right.
I want to be clear that there are times that that needs
Right.
to be said.
Right.
But as a whole, as everyday moving that way,
Hmm.
okay, that it just doesn't work. You have to be collaborative. You have to be able to listen. And I can
Hmm.
tell you one thing about my boss and the whole leadership team that I work with. They will listen, and sometimes they'll be like, "Oh, that's great. That's a great idea."
Hmm.
And other times they're like, "That's a great idea, but I want to move in this direction." There's
Hmm.
always a reason, but that's how you learn, is by
Hmm.
asking, "Oh, what made you make that decision?"
Hmm.
So, how you break that down and get them over it is, remember, the more diverse of thinking that you get, you might solve a problem that you're banging your head against the wall by just having a conversation with an employee or
Hmm.
another business owner. But you have to be open to that. And then
Right.
at the end of the day, you have to make the best decision. But it all starts with being an open mind and being flexible with your way of thinking.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. So the thing about the flexibility, and I want to make sure I'm on the record saying this, because you guys can misconstrue the flexibility with you just, and I'm glad you brought this up with your boss. With just, I'm just going to let people do what they want to do. All right. Which again, that is a problem. You have got to make sure you're mixing it in a certain way. And when you think about the networking conversation, you never know everything. Like there's not a
Mhm.
topic. I don't care how much you've studied. I don't care what it is you
Yeah.
do. There's always something that you can be learning. So when you think about, the people that primarily tune into this particular live stream, or the people that primarily tune into my work, it's their owners, and they're trying to make sure that their company doesn't go under, or they don't have bad reviews from employees. They want to make sure, as it's time to hand off their business, it's their baby, to somebody else, I'm making sure that I'm doing what I need to do to keep the money coming in, and they're able to represent the brand in the right way. And you still have to be kind of a sturdy leader, a kind of a pillar in your company, but also at the same time, it's going to be that much more important that you do stay flexible. And the question I have for you is, like, how can someone do, like, the mix that we're talking about is so challenging when you think about everything that goes into running a business, all the things that pop up, all the things that you didn't consider before you started doing it. We're going to keep saying this, we're going to keep going back to this. You've got to get help in regards to how you build out your bridges before you just go full throttle into it. So I'll let you speak on that a little bit, and then I'll have some commentary. Then we'll get to the question soon, guys. So
Okay. So, when I think about that, when you start a company or have an existing company or whatever that looks like,
Hmm.
you hire people. You should hire people, number one, that are smarter than you because you don't know everything.
Hmm.
Nobody knows everything. Okay. We know a lot about maybe different areas, but we don't know everything. So
Hmm.
you hire people. So if you're going to hire somebody to do a job, allow them to do the job. You're there for guidance when they need it. You're there to ensure compliance, efficiency, all of those things.
Hmm.
But if you don't allow them to do the job and you're so much in the weeds that you're micromanaging to the point where they don't have freedom to do it, how are
Hmm.
they going to learn? They can't learn because that's how
Hmm.
you learned. Everybody had to start from somewhere. We weren't just born with this knowledge.
Right.
So you have to let go. And that's very hard for some people,
Mhm.
but and if it's not the right person, that's a totally different thing. You have to, make sure there's not mistakes. Then you get somebody else who is the right person. You
Hmm.
have to trust your people.
Right.
That's what I say. Trust your people
Mhm.
and guide them because that's what you're there for as a leader.
Right. And when I brought up delegating, and because what you're actually referring to is delegating to the right people. So when I brought that up, I brought it up because the thing about, and I'll just kind of close out with this example. When I spoke about my personal goals or what I wanted after college, being a coach or somebody in the NFL, it's because I love football, the game of football. All right. So me being able to say that after at this stage of my life, now that I've seen that the NFL is more so about politics, the NFL is more so about corporate sponsors. It's very little football actually involved in the NFL thing. I was able to say, hey, my dreams were too small, even though it looked big because I didn't know much. My dreams were too small because your focus was on the game and what's best for the game. Their focus is on what's best for some corporate sponsor and looking good in PR and stuff like that. That's okay, business owner. Okay, it's okay to let that go. You may have to. In fact, I remember speaking of the NFL. There's a video out there now where Jerry Jones, he actually got teary eyed when he had to rename the stadium from Dallas Cowboy Stadium to AT&T Field. Something as simple as naming rights, and he got teary eyed because again he started it because he wanted to coach. He probably, if you probably, I swear, if you probably asked him, he probably all the money and the ownership and all that. I'm sure it's great, but I'm sure he would love to be out there coaching guys and playing and doing all that kind of stuff. That happens. That's part of life. But that's what we're saying when we're talking about networking and we're talking about delegating is there has to be driven by some very, very core principles. And that's the only way you're going to let go of your business. Both of us have been there. All right. We had this idea, that idea. We wanted to do this and we wanted to be the Canva person. In fact, when we started, you wanted to be the one coming up with this and coming up with that. And we had a whole list of things. And it's like, hey, shit, ChatGPT's right there. That took it took care of so many different problems. So, and that could be the same thing with a different person. Is we are still able to speak on the things that we wanted to speak about from day one, and that's why you're able to see the consistency that you see. So you have got to be driven by a very, very core principle. In fact, all week, this entire week, the theme this week is numbers and looking at numbers and understanding numbers are going to be bigger than just money. Numbers is going to be ways of judging effort and where were you today and where are you tomorrow. We're going to be talking about all of that, and it kind of feeds into the discussion today. So that's kind of what I have to say on that. We'll get to the questions. We might actually get out of by 25 today. So
So I do have
anyway,
something
yeah, go ahead,
else,
go ahead. I'll
because
let you
I'm
go.
thinking, when you speak about these things, it's uncomfortable for some people, for a lot of people, because two things, change and growth is
Hmm.
uncomfortable. It doesn't feel good. It makes you panic a little bit inside because you're doing something that's outside of how you feel.
Right.
Be comfortable with being uncomfortable because
That's
that's the only way that you
yeah.
can grow. The only way you can grow.
Yeah. No, the reason I'm laughing is because I didn't got to the point where I'm so used to it at this point, and I forget myself that some people are just not used to being so uncomfortable with a certain thing that it's not their natural mode. That I've learned myself, I have to dial it down when I send certain text messages and dial it down when it comes to certain topics and certain ideas. So that you're 1000%
Most
right.
people are not.
Exactly. And that's what I'm saying. The people that have gotten so used to public speaking and doing it off the cuff and doing it over and over and over and over again, you guys have to understand, like me too. Hey, sometimes you got to dial it back. Sometimes you got to just, it's not personal when somebody doesn't respond. It's not personal when you get rejected. None of that stuff is personal. It's just, hey, some people are not used to this type of mentality, and keep it moving. No matter what, do not stop being you. Okay. The minute you stop grinding and going after and letting somebody else win, letting somebody else get the best of you, that is the day you will regret. Do not stop, though. That's the only advice I can really, if you take anything from today, do not bleep and stop, because you got too big of ambition. You can't dream big enough. Got it? So here's the first question that ChatGPT came up with today. It's, what doors could open if you started building relationships before asking for a favor? Ooh, all right. Great one. ChatGPT, you could tell I paid for the $44 a month one, because they're getting they're getting personal now. All right. A favor. Very, very important. A favor is, hey, bro, I want to run the 7-Eleven. I need a Gatorade, or I need a juice, need something to drink. That's a favor. All right. That's something that you can get the person back. You guys are friends, this, that, and the third. Now, building relationships with a person, there's a specific purpose that you know that this person said they want, and you feel like, hey, I can help you get to that place if you give me a chance. All right. There's a distinction between favors and relationships. A lot of young boys don't understand that, because I know this from experience. You meet a young lady and she's giving you favors. You guys know exactly what I mean when I say that. She's giving you favors, and you mistake that for a relationship. Okay. She's giving you, I'm just talking to the young men, and particularly the young men. Now, she's giving you, and then if you take that mentality into your workplace, you take that mentality into your career, it's going to be a very, very ugly ride for you. Just putting it out there, just letting you know. Favors, relationships are two completely different things. In fact, while you talking
So
right now,
let me say this. So
yeah,
you
that's a
talked
topic
about,
I gotta talk about that more.
okay.
Now you see how I get ideas, so I gotta write that down.
So you're asking a favor. I'm going to use the Gatorade, right? But
Yeah.
if you have a great relationship with somebody,
Mm-hmm.
you wouldn't need to ask for that Gatorade, because they would just automatically bring you that Gatorade,
Mm-hmm.
right? So, you know, you keep asking a favor to me is more, and if you put it for work terms, you could say, hey, can you show me how to do something, or can you
Mm-hmm.
help me with this project?
Right.
You can build relationships that way, but if you're only asking for favors all the time, and you're not taking the time to say, hi, can you teach me this, how are
Mm-hmm.
you, but getting to know them as well,
Right.
and showing value, and showing them that they are valued.
Right.
When you show somebody that they're a valued partner,
Mm-hmm.
it's so important. And I don't mean not being authentic by doing that. I'm not talking about blowing sunshine, okay? I'm talking about really being authentic
Yeah.
and taking the moment to tell someone, I really value our conversations.
Yes.
That's how you build relationships. You have
Yes.
to take the time to do it. It doesn't happen overnight, and it's not McDonald's. They don't have drive through.
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am. Yes, ma'am. I mean, the conversation component for what you just said just strikes a completely different chord with me. You have
Mhm.
no idea, Kimberly, how much I personally need to hear that one. All right. So question number 2. Are you building a network or just collecting contacts for emergencies? Another great one. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. A network. All right. So a network would be, so I'll give you an example of what something just happened yesterday. Something that's actually been happening throughout the entire month of April is at random. I've had well over 100 people on this podcast at random. There've been a couple of them that just shoot me a DM. Hey, bro, next time I'm doing an event, I want you to come and be the keynote, or not the keynote speaker, but like the facilitator for the whole panel. Hey, man, just checking in on you. Hey, how's this going? Again, people I haven't heard from since the interview. And it's not like I closed the interview and all of a sudden I wanted something from them. I just gave a great interview, and the network was there, and they may keep up with something I'm doing. They may see a post, and you may get a text, and who knows when you need to reach out to that person or whatever you learn. You may never have to call them again, but you just never know. Having that contact, having that collection is important when you're building out your mindset. That's a network. Collecting contacts for emergency. Somebody sees your text, some phone. That mofo wants something. I ain't picking up on. Okay, that is what happens, folks. That's the difference. If you're building network, you're gonna get those texts every once in a while, or people reach out. If you just for emergencies, getting that text, don't do it.
But something I thought about when you're building a true network, not just an address book list.
Mm-hmm.
Think about the new, we talk a lot about the tenured, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
look, and I always use myself as an example, but learning from someone that's experienced or going in the direction that I want to go, right? But how about the new professionals? How about seeing somebody on LinkedIn? Oh, I just started my first job in HR, or I just graduated from X college in human resources.
Mm-hmm.
You can build your network. Your network should be diverse with both those tenured and long tenured employees to mid
Yes.
to entry level, because they are new or in a different generation than you are, and you can learn from them. So
Yep.
make your network more than just people that look like you, talk like you, and have the same experience as you.
Okay. How would your reputation change if people saw you as a connector, not just a requester? Another one that needs to be fleshed out, I think, in this new generation of social media and everybody can connect with whoever. That word connector is really relative on the individual. All right. So, connector is somebody, I think I actually tell my girl this all the time. She never posts anything ever. Like she's never doesn't post anything on social media, but she's very connected within the relationships that she has personally with people. It just doesn't happen to be on social media. So
Right.
nowadays, all right, this word connector is not just about your social media following, folks. It is
No.
about who the hell you are off the internet, what you're about, what kind of conversations can you do are about. And that is what when people see that in you, then they want to be a part of your life. Then they want to be supportive. But a requester, oh, that's easy. That can come in the form of online. That can come in the form of a person directly. You can smell it on people just based on how they speak. So again, man, ChatGPT, man, they doing it today. They are doing it today. This is our first time reading this, guy. So I'll
So
let you go.
I agree with that. When you started talking about it, I thought about, you told me to join, because I'm single, guys, and so he told me to join this mingle. What was it called? The website
Upward. Wait, what is
that
upward? The app
yeah,
upward.
Upward. Yeah, he told me
That
to
was
join Upward, and I said, hey, Swan, I can't have one more person asking me what my
that
favorite
was
color is, right?
wait. Hold on. What'd you say?
Remember when I told you I couldn't have one more person ask me what my favorite color was,
Oh
right?
yeah. I
And
remember. Yes, yes.
because that's
I wasn't
that's
gonna say that on but you.
I
Hey,
don't care, it's fine. And he started laughing, but it's true that to me that's a requester. What's your
yeah.
favorite color? What's your favorite food? you know,
I'm telling
I
you.
want real conversations.
Yeah.
What song made you cry? Okay,
Yeah.
something. This is the same
That's almost
thing.
an embarrassment to us males in general, to be honest with
Right.
you.
Bring value to every conversation. I'm
Yes.
not saying that you can't have casual conversations, but as it
Yeah.
relates to networking, really get to know them, make it authentic and real, not just every day. Hey, how are you? I'm good. Thank you. How are you?
Right.
Nobody has time for all of that. So if
Right.
you really want to make a connection,
Mhm.
make it authentic and true.
But to your point too, and just so you're clear, casual conversation isn't a bad thing, and
No,
it's not even something that you wouldn't want if whether it's romantic or professional. Casual
right.
conversation makes you human, and when
Yes.
you clearly care about, you're gonna have just casual dialogue, and it's what you're taking from that casual dialogue. That's what's gonna make the judgment. But you can't just throw out random things and expect people to take you seriously, especially once they've reached a certain age and you realize you're not talking to teenagers anymore. These are
Right.
people with real life situations, real life problems that just don't got time for bullshit. And it's important that you all recognize that and understand time is everyone's most valuable resource. So, don't
Yeah.
waste people's time with that shit.
Right.
We're on number 4, right? Yes. All right. What's stopping you from adding value to others before you need anything from them? So with this one, I would say what would stop you is if you don't care, if you genuinely don't care about the problem that they're trying to solve. So
Right.
if you don't care at all about, like, let's
It's
say
being
someone,
authentic. I think we
yeah,
answered that. Just
yeah,
being,
basically, it. You
yeah,
don't care about the problem. You
you
have to
don't
care
care
about the
about them. You don't care about the problem.
problem.
You're just doing it to make a contact in your list. I mean, I think we answered that one with that.
All right, this one is going to be really big and really put both of us on the hot seat. If your job disappeared tomorrow, who have you already invested in that would pick up the phone for you? Ooh. All right. So me,
Hot potato.
yeah. All right. I'll let you go. I'll let you go first because this is actually something that's currently going on right now.
So think about, well, at the beginning, we were talking about, having reorganizations and, the companies changing because they have to, right?
Mhm.
Um, and the instance of my friend. And so she picked up the phone. She called me. We don't work together anymore, and so that is that connection. And so you have to have those. I mean, you have to put time in it, and time can get away from you because life she said this because I actually was supposed to call her. She texted me last week or
Mhm.
the week before, and I said, you know what, I'm so sorry I didn't call you. And she
Hmm.
goes, you know what, Kimberly, don't worry about life is lifing.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so but it's true, but it's also we have to hold ourselves accountable to that,
Exactly.
because that's how you build relationships. And
Mhm.
so I would say, I do have people I could call. Could I do better? Absolutely. So
Mhm.
this one calls me out on the carpet too. So
Yeah.
I think we
It
can
causes
all
us.
do better with that.
Yeah.
And you need to make a concentrated effort, because if you don't, you'll be that person where somebody looks at the phone and be like, no,
I'm good.
no,
I'm good.
right.
I'm good. So yeah, like I was mentioning to you before we started recording, I'm currently as a teacher. I teach out here in West Palm Beach, but the relationship I'm in, she's about an hour away. So there's a obviously a travel distance in which we got to figure out. Into actually, let me not say an hour. It really takes me about 30 to 45 minutes to get there. But long story short, it's not going to be able to make the commute every day, so I don't get to see her every day. And if what I've been considering, what I've already been prepping to do, is the fact that I have been a boxing trainer. This was normally my way of employing or get generating revenue. The teaching position came after the books and all that. So as I've been doing this, I'll let it play while I talk here. But as I've been continuing to do more of these free ones because I'm the group leader at my church. Now I'm in a situation now where I can put it back together as a business and also teach at the same time and create more opportunities. So if the job disappeared, I would fall more into the work that I was doing before. The reason I
Right.
have the job I have is because some center director saw me doing this with kids and they said, "Hey, all right, bring Aswan in because he actually adds value." So I will use myself as an example here is mentally when you have a name like Aswan Crookshank, you're always prepared for your job to
As
disappear.
one.
always. You're always prepared. Now I get some people have names that the mentality is never gonna have that job for the rest of their life. But me, I'm always prepping. Even we do this on a Sunday, on a Saturday. It doesn't matter. Everywhere I go, and even she'll tell you, I'm always making a contact and talking to somebody and say, hey, if I need you this, if I need this, whatever it is. So this question is a huge one that you have to answer because just the Aswan Crookshanks of the world are not gonna be the only ones dealing with this
Yeah.
because of AI. Jobs are going, and people are now focusing on what the hell can you do? What kind of value do you bring? I don't want nobody that just wants a job. I'm telling you right now. By the time
We're
I
gonna
get,
do that next week, I think,
yeah,
because I
it's
almost
a
brought
big
it
one.
up today, and we need to talk about that next week, because I read some things this week and been learning learning some stuff.
Hey,
So
and listen,
I'm gonna let you know.
we're already
But
5 minutes
that's
past, so we'll go.
uh,
I'll let it. I'll let you go. I'll give you the
okay.
last word.
So the bottom line is that I have my HR business, right? And
Hmm.
you have your boxing. It's always good to have connections in other places, connections not
Hmm.
only with people, but use your strengths and do things that you love, right? And
There you
passionate
go.
about. And that will always bring you opportunity. And so if you need help with that or any with your HR framework, you can contact me at ardentHRsolutions.com. Great conversation as always. We'll see you next week.
All right, folks. Continue to move swiftly. Talk. You guys will talk more soon. Later.